Hey everyone,
Hey everyone.
I'm Kiaya, Thrifty Redhead on Instagram.
I'm Caitlin, Did I Thrift That Closet on Instagram.
And welcome to Flip That Jawn.
We are two full-time resellers from Philly, and this is a weekly podcast that explores the ins and outs of reselling while linking arms with the reselling community to help grow and learn from each other.
We're excited to connect with you and new voices that will help to inspire and motivate you in your reselling journey. Join us as we learn more about ourselves, each other, and our ever-growing awesome reselling community. Today's episode of Flip That Jawn, Caitlin and I talk about authentication and self-confidence. From transparency online to openness with your client base, we speak about our journeys and not how they only open doors in our reselling journey, but how they created a loving community for us. Together, we explore vulnerability, self-expression, and how reselling has impacted us to the core, in which in turn has led us to help others to become self-confident businesswomen. As always, we hope that our conversation helps you grow and creates room for the thought that we would love to discuss with you over on our social media channels. With that being said, let's just jump into it.
Well, now that we're in a separate recording, so I guess we're just going to go into it. But
yeah, you're going to have a lot of editing.
I have already like 7 clips between like today and then yesterday when we were trying on the computer, and it's just me being like, hello. That's life. Sometimes you just gotta. What'd you say? You gotta roll with the punches, baby.
Yes, oh my God. When you said that, I was like, she just set me up because I'm about to just come with this line. I was watching Incredibles all morning.
Believe it or not, I don't even think I've ever seen that movie.
Oh God, please. And you know, well, Incredibles 2 just came out like maybe a year or two ago after like a 10-year hiatus. So,
yeah, I was gonna say it's like super hyped up. I know people were like super hyped about it coming out again.
Also, I didn't even know like it takes forever to make an animated movie. Like it takes forever. Like when I looked at like the behind the scenes of like Toy Story, and it took them like 3 or 4 years just to make one freaking movie. I was like, that's insane.
Dude,
but that's also a lot of money.
Have you so you know how Netflix does those like the movies or the toys or whatever that made us, or like the movies that made us, and it's like a series about like the history of like toys or like the history of like different movies from like the 80s or 90s. They did one a holiday edition. And so I watched it. It was like the making of Elf, and it was just so funny because
oh my God,
they were talking about how like it was like before Old School came out, so like nobody ever saw Will Ferrell in a movie, and they're like, "You want to put Will Ferrell as the lead in this movie?" And I was like, "Can you imagine anyone else's Buddy the Elf?" Because no. I cannot.
I can't imagine like movies without Will Ferrell in it, because I am a huge Will Ferrell fan. Love the dude, love all his movies. Like he's like seriously funny to me, like really funny.
And he's really funny.
And Elf, oh my God. When I tell you, when we, like all December, we were watching Christmas movies like crazy. And it was always, I was replaying Elf, replaying Home Alone. And my daughter was just like, how can you watch this again? And I was like, you don't want to watch Elf? Like, I recite the movie. Like, I can sit there and watch it like all day. Like, I'm just like, you don't understand, child.
You don't get it.
Like, Will Ferrell is life.
Actually, it's funny because so speaking of Will Ferrell, like, have you ever seen that Will Ferrell movie called I'm gonna blank out on the name of it because this is how it always goes in our conversations where I'm telling you about something and I'm like, oh wait, but it is basically the movie where like it's more of like a drama than a comedy. And it's like I forget what job he has, but he's coming from a really good job, and he ends up getting fired, and his wife leaves him, and he's like, I'm just gonna like he gets like evicted or something. He's like he just ends up moving all of his stuff onto the lawn, and he's like living on the lawn. Have you ever seen that movie?
No.
Oh my God, it's so good, and it's not really necessarily like a regular like Will Ferrell comedy, but it is like it's just the idea of like dealing with like coming with the grips of like yourself.
Okay.
So I was like, oh, this is perfect. Hello, brain. But it is, I'm gonna I think it's like, it's not the things they carry, but basically like it's like this whole storyline, but there's still funny moments because it's Will Ferrell.
Yeah, he
and
can't help himself.
It's Will Ferrell living on a recliner, like living on his front yard. You know what I mean? Like he's like doing all the stuff you do in a regular house.
Yeah.
But on his front yard.
That's hilarious. That's hilarious in itself.
Yeah, it's hysterical, but it's also like one of those ones that kind of is you know, we're like in Buddy the Elf, like as an adult, you're like, oh, this does kind of like makes, you know, it kind of hits me in the feels as an adult because I get it on as a different level than a kid. But it's like the same thing, like it's funny, but it's also just like this idea of coming to terms with yourself, which I think is, again, just, I mean, we're talking about being authentic today. So, you know, part of that I feel like is being true to yourself, is being authentic. And sometimes you have to go through those crazy stuff, maybe living on your front yard in a recliner. Maybe in your brain, you're living on your front yard. But yeah, we're gonna, I guess, jump into that. But do you have any well, we're officially, this is the second one, so if you come back to the second one, thank you.
Yes. That means you like us. You really like us.
Or maybe you're just giving us a second shot. I know there was some, I mean, we gave you a fair disclaimer that there was some technical things.
Oh yeah. It's gonna happen, people.
We're just
rolling
gonna
with the punches, baby.
We're also going to chalk it up that Kiaya is psychic. She just knows when all the jokes are coming before they come.
It's like, not even set up. Like,
this
is what happens when your brains are connected.
Yeah, that is. I just felt because we were like, I was like listening it back and I was like, oh, it sounds like she knows when the joke is coming before like anyone.
I'm like Miss Cleo.
Oh my God, big rip, Miss Cleo. A memory from my childhood. But so we're recording the second one. It's like the second day of 2021. So
yes.
We made it to 2021. We made it through the first day. So that is by far an amazing accomplishment already. Accomplishment already.
It really is, because 2020 was a mother.
So I know that you just had a bunch of stuff going on for the end of the year. I know you have a bunch of fun stuff coming up that we can't really talk about.
Don't you hate that when you're excited about something and you're just like sitting in your seat, like shaking, like, what are you so happy about? Like, you don't know.
Yeah, I know. It was like, because we were actually, so you guys are getting the director's cut of the podcast today. Yes. Because we sat down to talk yesterday and then ended up talking about tiny hands.
Oh man, that conversation was hilarious. When I went upstairs last night, my husband was like, I thought you just like testing something out. And I was like, yeah, but it kind of turned into like a conversation. He was like, what are you talking about? I was like, you know, our podcast, Girl Scout cookies, tiny hands. He was like, what the fuck? He was like, what is your podcast about? I was like, y'all have to listen. He was just like, he just like literally like looked at me and shook his head and was like, Girl Scout cookies and tiny hands. Like, I don't understand. And then he seen the purchase from Amazon because we share an Amazon account. So full disclaimer, you guys, I purchased tiny hands. So it's coming to a real near you.
I'm so excited.
He was like, did you buy tiny hands? I was like, you don't understand.
You don't understand. We already talked about hyping people up, and Kaylin was like, do it, buy the tiny hands.
And I literally was on the Zoom like, here goes the purchase. He was like, did you buy the tiny hands? I was like, yes.
So we got tiny hands, but so since we're coming to you guys weekly, anything exciting happened this week for you, Kaya? Any cool life updates?
Cool life updates.
Or business updates?
Business.
I feel like sure.
Business updates. I restarted my Posture Spotlight. So every Friday I'll feature a reseller from Poshmark, eBay, Mercari, wherever whatever your platform is. So I'll feature you and you'll answer I think I have 6 or 7 questions. You can either submit a video or some photos. And it's just basically getting your face and your name and your business out there to the community, because we all have different followers. So you want to reach everybody, and it's a way to just connect. So I still have the link in my bio on my Instagram if you want to be featured. If not, I just randomly go through my following list and pick people.
I know, because I'm on that list. I was like, wait a minute.
I was just I just randomly I'm just picking you. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo.
All right.
It doesn't matter about, your following base. If you have thousands or hundreds or one, it doesn't matter. I just want to, feature everybody. And people that I've met in real life, people that I met in, URL, IRL. People use those acronyms. It's weird. So yeah, that's something exciting. So I just restarted it because I haven't done it in I think I stopped when quarantine happened. That was my last, maybe 6-7 months ago is when I stopped it. And then I was I'm going to restart it. And I never did it. And so I was just I'm going to revamp it and I'm going to redo it and create a different layout and restart it, because a lot of people really liked it. And I was so happy when I re-announced it on my Instagram that people were so excited to be oh my God, it's coming back. And I was oh, this is a sitcom that left and just restarted. You guys are so this is so exciting. You guys really want me here. So it was a great thing for the community to really be a part of. So that's something new that happened in my business. My personal life, I have 4 kids, so it's something is always happening over here. nothing cringeworthy. But
oh my gosh! Yeah. Besides King running around all over the place, but
I have little Iron Man.
Iron Man, but this is the joy of life. Yeah, I'm excited for that posture spotlight because it gives me. I think if you're here from our first episode, we talked about our whys and stuff. I mean, that's a good way to look at other people's whys.
Yeah.
It's a good way to kind of format your own why, get some personal development going on there. So I'm excited. I'm going and following. So if you end up on the posture spotlight, I'm gonna end up following you.
Yeah, that's what it's for. And to check out their closet too, because it's a lot of. That's how I got a lot of purchases, is personally, posture spotlights that I feature, and then I check out that closet, and I'm oh, that's nice. Bye. I'm buying it.
Just like the tiny hands.
Yes, just like the tiny hands. Just on a whim.
That's
rolling
exciting.
with the punches, baby. I'm gonna just say that throughout the whole episode. Just full disclaimer, that is my line. If you have not seen Incredibles 2, go and watch it. It's on Disney Plus. Pay the $8.99 a month, watch it, because it's gonna be your line for everything. I said it all morning, and I felt every time I said it, it was the perfect time to say it. It was this is the next thing.
Well, me, I'm if you feel that's what needs to be said, then you should say it. I'm all for it. I'll hype you up. I'm what needs to be said. You know me.
Yes.
No, I'm excited about that. And I know there's a lot more coming from you as well.
Oh, yeah.
I'm honored to know some of these things and y'all can't be asking me. I'm not going to spill the beans.
What's she doing over there?
But you guys should be I'm excited.
Yes.
I've been leaving you voice memos that are 10 minutes long of just 3 minutes of hyping you up. I'm excited. I am so excited to see everything going on. You got some really awesome stuff going on.
Yes, and you do too, Caitlin. Don't be shy.
Oh,
don't be shy.
You know what?
The
coffee hasn't hit yet. We talked about this. Coffee hasn't hit yet fully. So you guys are getting you're getting the rare opportunity of Caitlin only on cup number 1.
Yeah.
I think my Instagram story sees me around cup number 3 or 4. So this is this is chill, Caitlin. This is just wake up, Caitlin. Yeah, no, I got some cool. I got a lot of stuff, and I'm in the same boat as you. I don't really necessarily want to spill the beans right away. Mm-hmm. It was so hard. If you're here from Instagram from either our stories, and you're finally here, you're probably oh, this is finally what she's been saying for months that she can't talk about.
Someone's just straight dangling something in front of you, and you're I want to know.
I just want to I just want to apologize for the carrots. Like, I've been dangling a lot of carrots about this podcast.
It reminds me of that commercial, the Geico commercial, when he has like the dollar on a fishing pole, and he's like, "You got to be quicker than that."
Yes, that's how I feel about everything. Poshmark, I feel like, does that to me a lot of times. But yeah, there's a lot of cool stuff. We got this podcast going. I just, by the time this is out, I've announced my 10% project. Yes. So I'm super excited about that.
Amazing.
I really wanted to take this year, and like I said last time, and use my platform to help a community and help some causes every month, and not just like monetarily, because I'm going to be giving 10% of my income, but I think it's an opportunity to learn about some new causes, become educated in some new causes, take action. So this month, yeah, was announced, or this past month, because I always forget we're pre-recording this to like so I'm like, wait, February, we had this problem before when we were looking at the Google Calendar. We didn't know which month we're in.
Oh man, we're that like delayed sometimes.
So that was really cool. January, 10% of that went to the National Alliance of Mental Health, which is a really cool organization. They help people get resources for treatment, because it's crazy, dude. The average delay between recognizing a mental illness and treatment is usually like 11 years.
Wow.
So yeah, and 1 in 5 people, in your life deal with a mental illness.
That's like everyone in my household, like one of us.
Yeah, that's one of you. And I tell people all the time, it's like one person on the street you probably meet in the day, one person you see in Goodwill, like so, and they've also been doing a lot of work with frontline workers and making sure that they have access to mental health counselors and therapists, because that is something that nobody saw coming out of 2020.
And they are really like doing the damn thing.
And they really deal with a lot too. Just being a regular human, and on top taking care of humans during a pandemic, and seeing all that stuff.
Being scared themselves, and they have to like show face. So they're amazing. I appreciate all essential workers, like, because I personally can't do it. I know I don't have the strength to. So for them to have the strength to do it, my hat's off to them.
Yeah, so I donated to them 10% of my earnings. So that was really cool to go through there. It also helps with youth getting resources, children that maybe don't have access, and especially communities of people of color, because the sad fact in mental health is that it is not treated the same in every community. So we really need to make that difference, and change the flip from incarceration to helping people with their mental health. So that is super exciting. Learned a lot, hopefully taught a lot to people. So yeah, just out here trying to change the world.
You're just rolling with the punches, baby. See, it was a setup. It was like perfect timing.
Perfect.
I may have everyone that's listening to this episode saying it. Like, if you're listening to this episode once it comes out, like, just send me like some reels, because this is going to be hot. I'm gonna hashtag it.
Oh my god, I love it. I'm gonna be making the reels. You know that.
The real queen.
We always talk about reels.
Yes, you are the real queen, literally.
So talking about being real.
Yes,
that was my corny segment into that. So we're talking about being authentic today, which is, you know me, I think that's like one of my favorite topics. When we were like, when you want to talk about this, I was like, yes.
You were excited to like research all of this.
I think it's also because people ask me all the time, like, how do you be authentic and how do you be yourself? And I'm like, it's such a broad spectrum, and I can give you like help, but I can't tell you how to be yourself. You know what I mean?
Exactly. You can't teach me how to be me. Teach me things, but I feel like it's just a natural thing.
So I also know it can be kind of like a big, scary topic for people. It's funny because I think it's like, I was thinking about this because so me and Kiaya are also in this accountability group, and I was like thinking about this idea of like, what is the word accountability and what is the word authentic? Because I think people use it a lot as like a buzzword. It's like, oh, let me just throw this in here because it's going to make me sound fancy. It's going to make me sound educated. But there's really like this, there's a difference between just using the word and what that actually can mean to you. And I think it can mean, being authentic can mean so many different things, and it can mean different things to different people. So I'm a little interested, Kiaya, to know, what does being an authentic person mean to you?
So, like, going with the definition, so being authentic to me just always like equates to being real. Like, and when I say real, I mean like true, like honest, like just secure about yourself. So in a way, like, excuse me, you had to like show me, or like just being in your natural state is being authentic. Like, not trying to, be like everyone else, not trying to look like other people or everyone else. Or, I mean, people are in the same boat because of their characteristics and stuff. But I feel like not trying to ride the wave or hop on the bandwagon, so to speak. So that's what I kind of just classify as being authentic, like just being real with yourself, and rolling with the punches, babe. It's like, no. I had to put it in there. No, but all seriousness, like just being definitely real with yourself.
Yeah, and I think it's, when we start this, I think like it's like, when people sit down to write an essay, it's always like, how do I start this off? And I feel like people are just like, well, when you look at the Webster definition of authentic, and I'm like, I didn't want to be like, so here's a definition.
I felt like that was every college essay I had.
Right? That was like, when you don't know how to start an essay, it's like, you just give the definition. Or like, if you don't know how to do a wedding toast, I feel like, well, when you look up the definition of love, it's like,
this is Caitlin and Marty are the definition of love. And then you just go, like, it just start. That's how you have to start out sometimes.
But I also think it's important to realize, like, there's just like the actual definition of that, but then there's also like the definition of like, what does it, I think it can be so different to the person.
Right.
Because I think like being real is for me, but I also think it means being authentic is, personally to myself, is maybe thinking about the hard stuff as well, and thinking about like doubling down and being like, why did I do that, or why do I do this in my business,
right?
And I think it's like, it's so important to me to be authentic to everyone. I think I'm sorry. My brain is like all over the place right now. So I think it's like, being authentic to me is sometimes being the real and vulnerable person that, like, even if it's like, not the easiest thing to do.
Yeah.
And I think that's also sitting down sometimes and looking at the nitty-gritty parts of yourself as well.
Yeah, because you have to,
if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, it definitely makes a lot of sense. You have to learn how to face the fact that you're not perfect. No one's perfect. And if you think you are, good luck to you in life. But you have to understand that there are still some things about yourself that's, you still have to get through. And it's okay, because everyone has that. You have to look at it, in your business as well as in your personal life. You have to look at it and try to understand, or make yourself understand, why did I choose this? Or like, why am I leading on this path versus that path? So it's all about acknowledging. That's a big word too, that a lot of people put, it's a buzzword, as you would say. You have to acknowledge yourself in everything that you do.
Yes. I think that's perfect. Because like, I think, last week we're coming from a place of, why.
Right.
I think once you figure out that why, but it's like, now it's like, okay, being authentic. And I think also that means like looking at the channels of yourself. I love that acknowledge, because that's exactly what I was trying to say. Our brains are connected. Yes. Sometimes you just fill in the blank.
We're like Siamese twins.
swear to God, I was like trying to figure how to fill the blank in, and you were just like, that's the word. And I think that's the perfect word, because it's acknowledging what feels good to you.
Right.
And that's why when I say, like, people come to me and they're like, well, how can I be myself and how can I be authentic? It's like, and I hope this podcast is part of this, like, it's giving you like a toolbox, kind of thing. But there's no right 100% way. Like, there's no written formula to being authentic. And I think definitely learning that is learning a part of yourself. And that is another reason, like, I know we're both on the same page with this. Like, learning that is also learning about yourself. And that's, part of what keeps you also in this business, because it's this opportunity to become a better human being.
For sure.
So I think it's like, yeah, there's no, like, there's no Mad Lib to being authentic. I think you have to sit down and you have to think, like, what does this mean to you? What does being yourself mean to you? Does that mean, for me, I think lately it's just been understanding and being transparent
right
to the core. Because I know we've had conversations where, I will always talk about things that happen in my journey, in my recovery and mental health. But sometimes, like I've told you, like, it's scary.
Yeah.
Because I'm like opening myself to the entire internet.
Exactly.
I never know, like, what the response is going to be. I never know if it's going to be a good response. And it also, it just opens a lot of stuff personally for me to get lost in my brain.
Right. And you have to be, like, ready. Like, you have to be ready and open to release that, because you can't release it and then just not acknowledge that you just did that. So you have to expect some kind of feedback, whether it be negative or it could be positive. You got to be ready to conversate about it, because people are going to ask questions. People are going to give you, motivation. People are going to be very inspirational to it. You might get some crazy people out there that want to say some off the wall stuff, but you have to be ready to take that. And if you're not ready to take all of that, then it may not be time for you to, talk about it with the world.
Exactly. So I think it's, like, being authentic doesn't just happen in one day.
Oh, yeah.
Just like the why, it doesn't happen in one day.
It's a learning process, for real.
Yeah, it's a learning process. It's a growing, it's essential, not only your business, but it's going to help you just grow into a better human being.
Exactly.
And I think that's, so that shows in your business. So have you seen that, like, or if you want to have, maybe you can speak about it. Cause I know that definitely opening myself up, being more transparent, being more vulnerable, being just I would also say unapologetically.
Yes, I love that word. I love it. I really do. Like, I really love that.
Welcome
word.
to the buzzwords.
Yes, we have to just write all of these down and just put it out there.
Yeah, I always tell people, I'm like, if you're listening to podcasts, grab a notebook. We're the same way. Grab a notebook.
Yes.
Write down the thoughts that come to you while you're listening.
Because we can definitely have, like, a Q&A episode, like, later on.
Yeah. So I would say, like, I would say you're gonna acknowledge, you're gonna be authentic, you're gonna acknowledge, and you're gonna be unapologetic.
Yes.
So I know, because we both are very open. I think that's kind of how life has led us to be in each other's lives.
Yes.
We just vibe in that way.
Like, we hold nothing against each other. Like, we'll say whatever.
Yeah, we'll say the good, we'll say the bad. I know there's times where I've said stuff to you and then I'm like, wait, I just want to clarify that real quick. Because we're both honest. I think that helps with, our friendship. Yeah. But also, I think it's a huge marker in showing how a business is run. Yes. So have you seen, like, do you want to talk about maybe some of the success or, like, a story where, like, you've been authentic and it's kind of played directly into your business?
I would say, like, my biggest, I'm just going to base off of 2020. Like, my biggest authentic moment was when I had weight loss surgery. So I had bariatric surgery in July of 2020, And so it was like a long process. It didn't just happen like, oh, I'm just going to make this appointment and go get surgery. Like it was from, I think like I started the process November 2019. Had to go to like a seminar and stuff and go to countless appointments with a doctor, surgeon, nutrition, psychologist, because you have to, they had to like check your mental state and all of that, which was surprising because I did not know that. So it's like a whole process. And then when it finally happened, of course I was scared shitless, but I went through it. And my weight is something that I was so uncomfortable about since high school. Not even when I had kids, but like just really uncomfortable about. And it really stopped me from doing like a lot of things that I really wanted to do. And tying that into my business is it really stopped me from wanting to be more open and I guess authentic in my business. Like I didn't want to show my face on Instagram or social media. I did not want to have YouTube channels because I did not feel comfortable with how I looked. I had a podcast. You guys know about that from the first few episodes, very, very few, very short series, but, I did not feel comfortable with how I was talking and stuff like that. And it all tied into how I looked. And so when I decided to make the change, and not just to be skinny, but just to make a healthier lifestyle for me, because I want to live as long as I can live, I decided to get the surgery. And so when it happened and I started being more involved in the bariatric community, because it's a huge community, like all over social media, I was able to like get that motivation and encouragement, to get myself to a better self, like get myself better, healthier, and feel more motivated to do my business. And so when that started to happen, I was able to be like, oh my God, like it's if I'm like that, I know there's like a ton of other people like that. There's a ton of other moms, there's a ton of other resellers, like there's just a ton of other women, people in general that are just like me, who are afraid to put themselves out there because they're uncomfortable or afraid to take this step and get the surgery because they're scared. And so that's when I decided to create another Instagram just dedicated to my weight loss. And I still incorporate it on my Thrifty Redhead account, but being open about this whole process and how it affected my business, has gotten a lot of, I don't know the word. It has gotten a lot of, I guess.
What's that buzzword?
Right? What's the buzzword? It has gotten a lot of like fresh eyes, I guess, to me, to know like, oh, like this is her. Like, she's not just here to sell me shit. Like, this is who she is. And this is why I tie, everything together. Like, this is me. Like, you're going to get my weight loss journey. You're going to get my mom life. You're going to get my business life, my marriage life. You're going to hear me talk shit about my husband. You're going to hear me talk shit about my kids. You're going to see me, wanting to be, trying to maintain a diet, but you're going to see me snacking. Like, you're going to see it all because, I have to be real. I can't fake it, and I feel like that really helps your business. If people see the real you, they know like you're like a true person. You acknowledge what you do and you roll with the punches, baby. See how that ended?
Well, I was about to say, so this is going to be an inside, or not really an inside joke, but Kiaya, you ready? Close the door, do the work in the room. It's so funny that you know exactly what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so I'm just putting that out there. Close the door, do the work in the room. It's hearing you come from that, and then from where I'm coming from, being authentic. Yeah. I mean, I 100%, this is 100% real. You know me.
Oh, yeah.
I will be honest and open. So if you're coming to this podcast, get ready.
Get ready.
But you coming from that, and then also me coming from diving into a fashion community with someone that is on the eating disorder spectrum.
Right.
So it's crazy because I came from the same place. If you're new to my page, I have body dysmorphia, which is like a total crazy thing. I have not, I'm not at the end of my journey, but I'm learning about it. So that whole, for me, when I see myself, is totally different. And I've had conversations with this because it's things you wouldn't even you normally wouldn't think about in your business, right?
Yeah.
So someone said, you know, when someone asked me to model something, and I was like, do you realize, like, when someone asks me about modeling something, it is a challenge. Like, that to me is like kind of a challenge in my business. That's something I've grown into, and I've had to learn how to adapt to, you know, because if you go to my closet, you see I model everything.
And side note, you take the most amazing pictures. Like,
Thank
I'm
you.
like real, like not just saying it because you're my friend, but like when I look at your pictures, like in your closet, I'm like, how does she do this? Like, it looks like a stock photo.
So I will tell people too, like, taking photos, modeling stuff. I realize this is a better way for me in my business, but it is also a challenge for me to be authentic, because when I look at those pictures, I don't see what everyone else sees.
Exactly.
So it's like editing times 5 for me.
You probably got
Because
about 100 pictures of the same picture with you in one shirt
just
to get one.
And for someone that deals with body dysmorphia, so the quick, like, general thing is basically when I look in a mirror, like, I don't see me,
Right.
and I fixate on things. So thank God it's funny because you were like, oh, that's crazy that they actually do a mental health review. So the reason they do a mental health review is for people that also deal with my mental illness, because we're very prone to get stuck in plastic surgery, to get stuck in weight loss surgery, because we fixate on these things.
And there's
So
nothing initially wrong.
Yeah, and there's nothing originally wrong. So I mean, that's like a whole other podcast we can go into. But so I was like, again, close the door, do the work.
Yes.
So that is why they do the health review. But it's creating. I want to do it, but also becoming more aware. And I think, honestly, I've seen that success in my business when I started being open about that. I haven't told everybody the entire journey of that topic, but I was like, hey, listen, if I can be on one part of my recovery leading into somebody else and saying you can be on the ED spectrum, because it's a spectrum, it flows. It's not like you just have one thing. Right. ED is flow. You can go from one side to another. And so it's like, once I started telling people, like, hey, you can have this. It can be part of your layers, but you can also, that doesn't mean that you can't be in a fashion community. Again, love Poshmark for that, because we're so also diverse. I've actually met other people that are podcast resellers that have the same thing. It's interesting. I mean, someone was telling me the other day, they just kept buying sizes of clothing 2 times their size.
Really?
Because in body dysmorphia, yeah, you think that's what you see, right? It's a warped vision. And again, I'm not like disclosing anything that I didn't say. They actually said this publicly. Yeah. So I just want to state that, like, if you come into my DM box, I'm not like blowing up your spot. Right. This was said publicly, but that is like something, right? So editing photos for me is hard. That's something I deal with, because I take like 500 photos, and then y'all think y'all are like trying to get that perfect white background. I'm trying to get that perfect body.
Exactly.
So, but I'm authentic, and I've realized that when I say that, it again closes the door, does the work in the room. It opens the door for more people, because I honestly, if you ask me if I would have ever been in a fashion community or in a fashion job or something that deals with styling and something that deals with my body so much, because I have the same thing. I have that insecurity. And a lot of people in the ED community are like, well, you know, modeling, fashion, that's triggering. That's hard. So I think opening it up and knowing that, like, on the end of your recovery is the start of someone else's. And I think, what is it also they say, like, is that 80-20 rule?
Yeah.
So, but again, I'm acknowledging that, but I'm being unapologetic, because, you know, then I get the people in my DM box are like, well, why don't you just not see that version of yourself? And I was like, do you not think I've been trying to do that?
Like, see, that all really connects with mental, you know, illnesses, and how everyone can't connect to it, and people don't understand, you know, what the next person is going through or how they may view it. Like, you view it differently than I do. And it's not just like at the snap of a finger, like you can just turn it off or erase it. Like it's a process, and it's something that should just be taken very seriously and understood from a distance, because everyone just has different ways of coping with it and dealing with it.
Yeah, and like I said, you can be coming from, both of our stories are so different, but it's also coming from a place of becoming confident in yourself, working on yourself. Because I know that's a journey for you. I know other people that have had that surgery too, and it's a huge life choice.
It is, and it's a scary life choice, because surgery is something that I'm not a fan of. Like I'm like, one of my biggest fears in life is like going in the hospital and not coming back out. So when it was like a decision, it was like, oh, do I really need to do this? And it wasn't like the first decision I made. I've been overweight since high school. So I'm 31? I can never remember my age. I'm 31. So it's like, like 12, 13 years. So it's like, I've tried the diets. I've tried everything. Like I went through everything. And this is like the last resort. So it's like the last resort. Okay, I'm here. Do I need this? Does this need to happen? And it was like, yes. Like if you want to live for as long as you want to live and be healthy, this needs to happen. So it was like, okay, you give me either life or this surgery. I'm gonna pick the surgery because I want to live my life. So I had to like really face fears and go through it because it's surgery is scary. Like it was scary. It was scarier than giving birth, and I did that 4 times.
I don't even know how. I tell you, sometimes when you tell me things, I'm like, I don't even know how you do that.
By rolling with the punches, baby. Caitlin, I'm going to get on your nerves with that.
You are not getting on my nerves at all.
I felt like whoever wrote that line in Incredible was just was like, this is for Kiaya.
Listen, you know me. I am all about having that drive, that quote in there. You know me. I was like, hey, close the door, do the work in the room. But speaking of that, like fear. So, and I'm sorry. Like this is a podcast where my brain is kind of all over the place.
But it all ties in, which is amazing.
Because it's such a broad topic.
Yeah.
And like, maybe I'm not making sense on a lot of things. This is me just having a real moment here, but like, maybe I'm not making sense on these things. But I'm just trying to put it all. It's a big topic.
Yeah.
I don't think if you like, keep it real, if you came to this podcast to be like, I'm going to be here and get all the answers. I hate to disappoint you. Me and Kiaya, we got a lot of answers, but we don't got all of them.
No, we're not Jesus.
Yes, we're not taking the wheel on this one.
No,
so here's the thing is, we're just kind of here to kind of shed some light on some stuff. And I also think maybe people are listening to this because being yourself can be so hard.
Mm-hmm.
You can be the most confident person, but also as a business owner, being yourself can be kind of scary. Because you're putting it all out there, and it's not like you're just putting yourself out there. Like you have a business behind you.
Yeah. And it can naturally affect, something you say or something you do can get taken the wrong way, and it can like be like a timber, like it could just, or what is that effect? Like when you, a domino effect.
A timber. I was like, timber.
I was thinking of the dominoes and I couldn't think of the name. Buzzword, domino effect. It could be like a domino effect. One wrong thing or one thing that can get taken the wrong way can affect everything else. Sadly.
Yeah.
But true.
And I think that leads right perfectly into like, something I would say like the challenges to your authentic, to being yourself. Right? The challenge is to your being self. And I'll answer this right up front for me. The challenge to me is myself. Because I know what I want to be. I know what I want to talk about. People come to me for that content.
Right.
People know I talk about. Fair warning, I talk about reselling on my Instagram, but I probably talk about my shop about 20%. I talk about mental health about 80%.
True.
So, because I think that is that's something I want to create change in. I want to create action in. So yeah, like I talk about like maybe new listings, but I'm going to go off the handle about mental health. But sometimes, like I'll tell you this exactly today. It's so funny that we were just talking about like, you know, talking about being ourselves, because today I sat down and I wrote a post and last night, and I went, do I really want to put this out in the universe? And, you know, what if I get this, or what if this is going to trigger someone?
Right.
Am I putting the right trigger warning in? Am I putting the right content warning in? Does this need this? What if this is insulting to somebody that also is in the same boat as me? Because, you know, with mental health, you know, I never want to insult people.
Right.
I never want to say like it looks one way, because recovery doesn't look one way.
Right.
But then it's also like at the end of the day, it's like, that's the challenge, is me and my brain being like second guessing myself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So I feel like the challenge to me being myself sometimes is myself.
I can get with that.
Is that too meta?
No. I feel like it may seem simple or like the common thing, but it's like very direct.
Because I could sit here and be like, well, it's because of the algorithm, or I could sit here and be like, well, it's because of this, you know, there's other things on the surface that I could do, but when I really get down to it, it's like sometimes I'm not being myself.
Right.
I'm not being 100% me because I'm holding myself back. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense.
So I feel like I've asked you, does this make sense about 5 times in this podcast? But that's a realization I've come from this year, is like, and sometimes the challenge in that, sometimes, sorry, I'm getting updates about Ladybug at the same time while we're doing this. I was told Ladybug was put back to bed. Just side note. So I think like, I want to know, again, you know, I feel like I'm asking you a lot of questions, but y'all, I'm coming to this podcast to learn, just like you.
Yes,
me and Kiaya know each other, but I'm also here to learn from her. So
as I am you.
Oh, you ready for my big book? Me and Kiaya putting in a book called "Roll with the Punches, Baby."
Yes.
Close the door and do the work.
Someone who hasn't listened to the first episode is gonna be like, "What?"
They're gonna be like, "This podcast." And again, this is all over the place because I've only had 1 cup of coffee. So if you're going back and you're like, "Keelan was so hyped on that first one," there's about 3 cups of coffee in. So, also, like, to be completely 100% honest, like, I love talking about being yourself, but sometimes those things that are part of myself are either things that I haven't fully come to terms with putting out in the public yet,
right.
or I haven't fully, I'm still working through them, because I think people will sit there and I'll be honest and I'll say, hey, I have body dysmorphia, I'm on the ED spectrum. They're like, oh, congratulations, you're fixed. Yeah, you figured it out. Give me the answer. And I'm like, guys, I'm not fixed yet.
We need to have like the audio buttons in the background with like the clapping of the hands.
Oh yeah, I'll put that sound in and out it. But you know exactly what it is. Or people, I'm sure you get this too, because people will come to you and they go, oh, you had the surgery, oh my god, you must have lost all the weight, you must have all the confidence in the world and feel 5,000 times more confident. And it's like,
nah,
boo, at the end of the day, I'm still a human being.
Yeah, I still look at myself and I literally like, when is it going to go down more? Like talking to the scale. And my husband's like, bro, you lost like over 70 pounds. I'm like, yeah, but I should be here. And he's like, just chill. Like, you're doing everything you're supposed to. And I'm just like, I look at myself very different from what everybody else do. I have them like internal demons that want to come out and be like, you're only drinking water and eating crackers for like a week.
Oh, God.
So
I mean, same. So, but I mean, I think that correlates right into, if you're still here and you're like, well, how's this relevant to my business? I mean, I think, how many times have you had conversations with people? Because I know we've had this conversation and we've been in rooms with other people that have the conversation where they say, you know, oh, this person looks like they figured it all out. They have like this amount of sales. And I want to be like, baby boo, nobody got it figured out.
Nope.
So
we only know what we see, especially off social media. If you don't know that person and been to spend time with that person, we only know what we see off of social media. So we wanted, some people, want to do the stuff to get the likes and make it seem like, there's no obstacle that they overcome. And if that works for you, that's perfectly fine. But it's not like all figured out. Like no one has it all figured out, because in this world of reselling, we know we go through that roller coaster of, oh, we make sales this day. Yes, we're doing our best. And then it's like no sales for like a week or so. And you're like, I want to quit.
Yeah, I think that just correlates into life.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like in this podcast, they're going to be like, Keelan, you got so many things. Because what we talked about, me being in the sober community, right, and then this, hi, welcome to my brain. I always call it, to be 100% real, I'm always like, oh, my brain is a fucked up candy land. Where would you like to go today? Like, I always describe it, and it sounds self-deprecating, but it's really not. I acknowledge that there are things that I need to work through. I still have not been to some parts of the candy land in my brain that I need to go to, but I think the beauty of it is that, like, nobody has it together. Nobody's perfect. I mean, that's just life, right? Like, nobody's got all the answers. Nobody's gonna figure it out. So when people come to me and they're like, how do you be you? I'm like, I can't tell you how to be you, but I can tell you the challenges are just like things that are they're going to adapt and change. You're going to adapt and change. You're going to learn how to maneuver about them. And I think the biggest testimony to that is if you can remain yourself while facing those challenges.
I agree.
To me, that's the biggest success. And I think that's something you see, like, in life. Like, you're always adapting. You're always changing. So you always have to adapt. You always have to change. Reselling is part of my life. Reselling has given me another platform to be able to create that change. You know what I mean? But I'm always learning something new every day about myself.
And I'm always wanting to learn. Like, I'm never too good for being schooled. So that's,
we'll school each other. Usually our text messages will be like, hold on, let me tell you how to do this. And you'll be like, hold on, you need to do this.
Let me show you this. And it's like, oh, I never knew that. Thank you. Thank you for being a teacher.
Yeah, thank you for teaching me on things, or thank you for giving me room to ramble and then realize that I shouldn't add 10 more projects to my life.
That's the passion in you. I feel like when you be like passionate about something, you can run with it, and then when you realize you're running with everything else, it could come to be a lot, and it can tend to be overwhelming. And when stuff gets overwhelming, especially for me, I would literally like fall all the way back from it. Like, I wouldn't even do it. Like, it's just that crazy. So I'm like, I had to take it at its own pace. I have to, one thing at a time. Let's do this. Like, let's learn how to walk again.
I like that. Yeah, it's like sometimes you have to go back to that bare bones. I think that's the thing in my toolbox. Is there certain things in your toolbox that help you when you get back, like when you're stuck in that rut, with maybe you get stuck in your brain, you don't know how to be yourself, or like you're just feeling like the challenges to being yourself, or, you know, because we all have hard days like that.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna also include this in the guys that are in reselling. They also deal with that.
Yeah.
Because there's a lot of stigma about dudes, or I'm sorry, I didn't mean to say dudes, or I'm trying to be like, you know, include everybody, but people that identify as guys, as males in fashion. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of stuff that they have to deal with, and a lot of challenges to them being themselves. So I feel like, is there a tool, is there a step that you kind of reach out to, you know, kind of like how we talked about your spider web last time?
I love this.
I mean, your spider web is your tool to, you know, your tool for remembering your why, but is there like any sort of tool or like thing that you use? I say toolbox because I feel like it's, you know, you open it up and you're fixing or you're managing the problem. Okay. You're going in there, you're getting the screw, you're getting the hammer, you're going in, you're being nitty gritty. But is there anything that you sort of fall back on to help you remember, like, to be yourself?
I would say something that I literally started this year. Like, I would say like leading up to my surgery, I had to be like mentally prepared for everything that was like happening and still going on. So I started to like use like a lot of yoga and Zen stuff. So I have like a Zen app and I've started like doing yoga every morning, and I would sometimes just sit there. Like I have my AirPods in and I have like the sounds and stuff going of like the ocean and all of that good stuff. And I would have, sometimes I just have to sit there. And honestly, when I get like that in my office, because I'll stay up late and I'll try to bust out listings and I'll try to do my measurements and stuff. And sometimes it can get to be like, okay, I'm tired of doing this, or my mind is rambling because I'm here, but I'm not here. I'm thinking about, you know, the stuff that I have planned tomorrow or the stuff that I want to do or my business in general. And like real shit, I would literally like kneel on the floor and sit there and just like go in a separate space. And sometimes I need that meditative state to bring me back. Like I will sit there for like 5-10 minutes and then take a big deep breath and like, oh, okay. Like it just like snap for me. Sometimes I just need to like step away from everything.
Hell yeah. I am for that because sometimes I feel like you gotta sit in that moment. Sometimes you gotta acknowledge it. I think a lot of times people think if you're feeling icky, if you're feeling not put together,
Yes, that
you don't acknowledge those feelings, but you do, and that's how you grow. Like you have to acknowledge that it's to put an analogy, you gotta get the weeds out of the garden before you grow more flowers.
Oh man, and I'm a bad gardener.
So like you could plant as many seeds that you want in that garden, right? But if there are weeds and you're not pulling those weeds, nothing's gonna grow.
Nope.
So
you have to start. You have to have a clean slate. You have to be fresh. Like,
and it's okay to be like, this is hard, or I don't like this about myself, or I don't know like why I do this,
right?
Or I don't know why I think this way. And I think that's like that to me is like, you validate the feeling. I always tell people, like, you know this, because I'll be like, oh, so and so came to me, and I'll be like, validate it and move on.
Yeah.
Validate it and what? Like, what can we do? What are the seeds that we can plant? Okay, let's get the weeds. Like, the weeds are here. Let's pull them out. But then let's start planting some seeds.
And sometimes it's hard for some people because they're dwellers. Like I used to be a dweller. Like I used to really like dwell on the fact of something that someone either said about me or something that I did or something that just, you know, got taken the wrong way. And I will like constantly like dwell on it, and it would just bring me down in all types of everything. And it was really hard to get out of. Like I had to really be like, I don't care. Like you have to really get into that like no, like I don't give a shit type of mode. You have to, you know, let people do what they do, or you do what you do, and let it roll, and then move on to the next thing. And for some people, that could be really difficult to, you know, move on. Like you have to learn how to move on, because if you stay on it, it's going to be a domino effect. It's going to bring you down in every way possible, and it's not going to get better.
Yeah, no, agreed. And I think sometimes you gotta like, you gotta recognize those things. And just like you said, you know this because we've talked about this before. Like for me, this year, it's instead of asking why, it's like asking what. So instead of like, why did I get here, or why do I feel like why do I feel like this? It's like, okay, what led to this?
Right.
So that switch from why, which is very, I mean, you could say why to everything, right?
Yeah.
Why is the sky blue?
And you still will never come up with a legit answer.
Why did my dog have an accident on the floor? You know, there's so that, but when you I feel like when you put that what into it,
Right.
okay, what happened to me to feel like this?
Yes.
Or what did I do 5 steps before this happened? Especially in your business, it's like if you have a methodical process to your business and you're asking, why is nobody buying my items? Well, what did I do? What did I list? What did I look at? I think that's a more decisive way to look at it, not only in your business, but you can do that in life. Like, what led to me to feel like this? Because then you can go, oh, wait, it's because I had that conversation and we talked about this. Maybe my brain is spiraling in this direction.
Yes. I think what is really good to use.
Instead of like, why does my brain think like this? Guess what? Your brain's going to think how it's going to think. I can't help that I'm built the way that I am.
Yeah.
But I can help identify those things to myself. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Again, does this make sense?
You're making all the sense.
I feel like we need to have the counter of how many times Caitlin says, does that make sense? Because again, I feel like these conversations, you also help me kind of process things. And like I said, I'm here to grow from and learn from you too. Just like anytime we have a conversation, I feel like I always learn something from you. But, I think that's the thing too, is asking that. And that's, for me, that's, I would say, that's how I started to become more authentic.
Yes.
Instead of why does it feel like, especially in 2020, why does it feel like everything is falling apart? Instead of why, what can I do to create a change in that?
Yes.
What am I doing? Instead of why do I feel like this is so icky and this makes me feel gross or this makes me feel bad? What can I do to change that? And what action can I make?
The what is very important, especially in 2020, because you can't say the why in 2020 because we have no control over it. Like everything that's happened not this year, but last year, which was only a few days ago, we had no control over it. Like we only had control over the what. So it's like, okay, we know why we're here. We know why we're in a pandemic and quarantine and why we had Corona, thanks to Trump. But I had to throw that in there.
Someone's like, and I'm done this part.
Yeah. Listen. We all have separate views and it's perfectly fine. I am very good friends with people who have separate views from me. And I feel like that's important. I don't want to be friends with everyone that has the same view as me. I want to know what and why you're reasoning. We don't have to agree, but we don't have to be disrespectful, but we can make humor of it. But
I is just being authentic.
Yeah, I am. I'm for real.
Unapologetic. I mean, that's being unapologetic in a world that's so divisive right now.
Yeah. And
because also we are on the same page when it comes to that.
Yeah.
But I also have friends that are, again, friends that are not, on the same political spectrum as me,
right.
Friends that are not vegan. I have friends from many different things. I have friends that don't believe it. I have friends that are like, I don't believe that weed should be legalized. And I'm like, hi, have you met my partner? Like,
but I feel like
and that's the thing, the yin and the yang.
Yeah, like you have the different perspectives and, everyone's not the same. And I like that. I like not having, a person that, agrees or has the same view as me for everything. I like to know why people think or do or feel the way that they feel about certain stuff. As long as it's not disrespectful and that's fine with me. Hey, I love making humor, right? Yeah, I love making humor about shit.
But yeah, I agree.
Like really, I really do. But I've tying it back. Like the what is very important. It's very important to know what are you going to do to what are you going to do in quarantine to not go freaking crazy? What are you going to do to elevate your business while you have this time of being home and focusing on your business? Like, I feel like 2020 was a shitty year, guaranteed, but I feel like it rose, it was like everyone bloomed in their business. I feel like everyone figured out like, oh shit, I can do this. I can do this. It was like no holds barred. Like, it was like everyone was just flourishing. Ooh, flourishing.
Yeah, I was going to bring back that buzzword. I think everyone was just, in 2020, unapologetic.
Yeah. It's like, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it well, and you're going to like it.
And it was beautiful because it's like people were like, okay, I've been behind this cause, but guess what? I'm going to take it to the street.
Yeah.
I'm going to go out and I'm going to use my voice. I'm going to protest this. But then also I'm going to also go sign petitions.
Yeah.
I'm going to write letters to senators. I'm going to write letters to my congresspeople. Like people really, and whatever it was, again, this is a place for everybody. We're just real. Like we said, we accept everybody. But like, yeah, people were just unapologetically whatever they were. And even though I might not agree with it,
Mm-hmm.
I love you for
Yes.
being yourself. And I can have that respect for you. We might not agree.
Yeah. And that's
I get it all
perfectly
the
fine.
time.
I don't agree with my husband 99% of the time. But that 1%, that 1%, I'm like, this is why we're married.
It's that beauty of that balance, right? So
Yes.
I think to start, and when people are like, well, how do you start to just take why is important, right?
Yeah.
We just talked about the why.
Yeah.
I think you do have to ask yourself why whenever you come into a new season of life. But when you get in those moments, because they're going to happen a lot, everybody deals with it. Instead of because think about it. Someone pointed that out to me. You know how many times I'll be like, why do I do that?
Mm-hmm.
Why am I so stupid? Why am I like that?
Yeah.
We say that so many times.
Yeah.
If there was a counter in that in my life, oh my God. If there was like a coin jar for how many times I asked myself, like, why am I so dumb? Why am I so stupid? You know how many times, like, and you don't even realize sometimes you just say it.
Yeah.
And it comes out of your mouth. And I'm like, okay, what led me to that? It's like, instead of that, it's like, what is the purpose of this?
Yes. Purpose is important.
What am I doing? So I think you got to have that base why, okay, when it comes to your business. But then you got to have those moments of remembering it. Definitely go back into the notebook where you wrote down was the why. Look at it. But it's like, okay, what am I doing to create that?
Yes.
That's the next step. It's like that who, what, where, why kind of thing.
Yes. We learned that in English back in high school. I still use it to this day, just like the spider web.
Yeah, see?
Like literally, if you can really, like, once you, like, seriously, no shit, guys. When I plan something, like a project or something, I literally put that down on paper. Who, what, when, where, why, because that is the most important thing. That's how you're going to get everything. Like when I created the newsletter project, I literally wrote that down. Like who I want to do it for, why I want to do it, where I want to do it, how I want to do it. And it's amazing.
And I think you can also take that, again, into your regular life. Who like, you know, who do I care about? And it's like, sometimes you just got to answer that yourself.
Yeah.
Like there's nothing wrong with like, I think if anything from this last year going into 2021, I think a lot of people are like also realizing they have to take care of themselves.
Yes.
And I think people ask themselves, how am I being authentic? But then maybe didn't really know themselves. And so you come from a year where it's like, you're kind of forced
to know yourself.
You're in quarantine, you're in lockdown. You're kind of forced to get to know yourself. Yeah. I don't care if also like, I mean, you have a big family, but like I'm sure you definitely had to take moments like that. Cause it's instead of like, being out,
I'm going on a date. You're going on a date with who? Myself. I want to get to know myself.
Yes. Take a
I don't know why I said it all provocative like that, but I had to do that. I had to take the time to myself. Like, unfortunately, sometimes it has to wait till the family goes to sleep. But I sit there and I'm like, you know, stuff that I used to do before. And I'm like, why do I don't even do this. I don't even like this anymore. I don't even like to eat this anymore. Like, I didn't know you didn't like that, Kiaya. Yeah, we don't like that. Like, you have to connect and get to know yourself, more. And I feel like that's how you can realize who you are.
Yeah, and I feel like it's just, I mean, 2020 was a very big year for that, but I don't feel like that just stops in 2020.
Oh, yeah.
So if this is the season for you to do that, then I think you should do it. You know, make that time, you know, to start. You can't be yourself for other people if you don't know who you are.
Yes. Because that's how authenticity. Jesus Christ. You know what I'm trying to say.
Oh, I know what you're saying. Because, yeah, it isn't. Because then you're going to start talking about stuff. You're going to be, essentially, for a better lack of terms, you're going to start talking out your ass.
True.
Okay?
Hopping on the bandwagon.
And people see that. Mm-hmm. People know when you're not being really you.
Yeah.
Like, I can catch on to that. Even in people's stories, like, I can catch... Why do you think people make memes about, like, influencers on Reels all the time? Because it's, like, they're not, like, they're there for, like... Or, like, that person just comes off, like, I don't really care about you guys. I don't really care about you feeling better in this way. And, like, I want the money, the bag that goes with it. Yes, get your bag. But also, shouldn't you not tie things to money that maybe you just don't know about, maybe you just don't care about, that aren't really important to you?
Yeah.
So I think that, I mean, we've gone through a lot of stuff today.
But it all tied into being authentic. And I think when people when you guys listen to this episode, and at the end you're gonna like evaluate, like, okay, this is my I can't struggle with the word authenticity. There we go. I just gotta say it like that.
And like I said, we could be talking about this for like 5 more episodes, honestly. Man. And I think we kind of are, because we have some guests coming up for the next few podcasts. Yes. So it's exciting. I'm excited. So we got some guests coming up. So definitely stay tuned for that. You guys are going to be interested. But I think this is a really great opportunity to talk to each other. I always learn so much from you. I hope you guys are also maybe you taking this time to listen to podcasts and stuff like that to do this, but also you guys are having conversations. And if you guys want to have those conversations with me, either me or Kiaya, you can reach out to us on Instagram. Kiaya, you want to drop your Instagram real quick?
Yes, my Instagram is Thrifty Redhead, and that's with 2 Y's, guys. Don't forget the 2 Y's and Thrifty Redhead. Instagram, Facebook, Poshmark, everywhere. Try to tie it in and be real simple. So reach out to me. My DMs are always open. If you want to laugh at some funny TikToks, check me out because I'm trying to get there on TikTok, y'all.
I see you trying to get there. Yeah, and my DM box is always open. It is Did I Thrift That Closet over on Instagram. You can always drop in and we can continue this conversation. Or if you feel like you just don't have anyone to have that conversation with, you can also just add me and Kiaya in a group chat and we'll talk about it with you.
Anything. Like, doesn't just have to be for business reselling. Like, if you just want to tell me, like, you know, my mom's out there. If you want to tell me, like, how much of shitty people your kids are, we can just have a powwow because we can go to town on our kids. Like, I would go to town. So I'm a listening ear.
I love it. So I really hope you guys have gotten a lot of it. As always, Kiaya, thank you so much for having this podcast with me. I always learn so much from you.
This is like the highlight of my 2021.
I love it. Yes. I'm always learning something from you. Thank you for adding into my life.
Yes. Thank you for like the Poshmark alignment of the stars for putting us together.
You know how I feel. That was close the door, do the work.
Yes. It was like if Poshmark would have never like, hey, Thrifty Redhead, you want to have a virtual 9th birthday party for Poshmark? And I'm like, yeah, who am I going to host it? Like, who else is in Philly? And it's like, who's this girl? I like her. Let me DM her. And then it's like, that's like literally a story.
That is, yeah, we'll have to definitely go into that.
Yes.
But yeah, reach out to us, continue the conversation. And of course, if you guys have anything else you would like to hear on the podcast, please drop that in our individual social media, as we will be working on social media for the podcast soon. But also make sure you stay in tune next week for our guests for the rest of the month. We have really awesome, correct?
Yeah.
The rest of the month, we have really awesome guests coming in.
Three amazing guests coming on, and you're going to want to listen. So don't forget to subscribe and leave us a review.
Yes, thank you. I always forget about that, so thank you for dropping that in.
Yes, we want subscriptions.
And as always, we will see you guys on the next episode. I hope everyone has a great week. Everyone continues to grow. And yeah, thank you, Kiaya, for being here.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Caitlin, for having me. Peace out, everybody.
All right, bye.
Hey guys, thank you so much for coming back and hanging out with Kiaya and I on our second episode of Flip That Jawn podcast. We hope that you guys enjoyed today's topic of authentication and that it maybe helped you grow a little bit, or some food for thought, or some inspiration, some motivation for this week to really think about I know that we've had a really fun time talking about this topic, and we just are so glad we're here to be able to share it with all of you. And on that note, I am so excited. I know Kiaya is also really excited for next week. Make sure you guys show up and tune in, because we do have a special guest, that is Margaret. Her Instagram handle is September and Spring. She's going to be on with us. She's going to discuss her reselling journey, the impact of reselling, what brought her to reselling, and just thoroughly drop some gems you guys are not going to want to miss out on. I know we both have really enjoyed learning from her, talking about Instagram, talking about the business, and so we're really excited to share that with you guys. As always, we just want to say thank you to the subscribers of the podcast. Y'all are the bomb.com. And of course, this podcast is not only for Kiaya and myself to learn from each other, but for you guys. So if you could do us a huge favor so that we can continue making something that is really special for you guys, and just drop us a rate and review. Let us know what you guys are digging out of the podcast, what you want to hear more from, and all of that good stuff, right? We can't continue to get better unless we know what you guys are looking for. And also, with that being said, feel free to continue this conversation with us. Feel free to reach out in our DM box if you guys want to talk about authentication or what the podcast really inspired you to think about this week. Reach out in our DMs over on social media. You can find those down below in the description, and we are always open to a conversation. So with that being said, guys, again, thank you so much for being here. We wouldn't have it any other way. We're so glad you're here, and we will see you guys next week. Bye.